Hello. I think I'm live. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. So I hope my microphone is turned on and everything is set up right. So if you can hear me and see me, just type something in the chat so that I know we can start talking. It is starting. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So everything is fine. Okay, so those of you who are watching, hello, thank you for coming to my stream. This is the first time I'm streaming live, actually, if by myself, because on Monday I had a talk with two other people, so that was actually my first time. But this is a proper first time for me, like a solo stream. My name is Luka. If there is somebody here who doesn't know me, and I'm a filmmaker and visual effects artist and many other stuff, but that's not, that's the main thing is filmmaker and visual effects. So basically, I mean, I made a short film called Slice of Life, which is basically that's where the name of our channel comes from, because the channel was actually opened for during the production of the short film, and we just left it. We just left the name Slice of Life because it's probably a catchy name, at least we think so. So even though we now started doing other stuff, the name stuck. If you didn't watch the film, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the film. It's a short science fiction film. It was made in my garage at home, and me and one other person called Dino, he told me he will come watch the stream, and he will probably troll in the comments, spam a little. So Dino, Julius and me, we made the film, the two of us, and it's 25 minutes long. It's a science fiction film. It's filled with visual effects, and it was made in my garage, in the floor beneath me. And the most interesting thing about the whole project is that it was made with the use of miniatures. We have a South African viewer. I'll have to watch this tomorrow. Okay, well, but don't forget, watch it tomorrow. So Dino is spamming already. Okay, so I can show you. I planned to show you some images and clips and all sorts of things. So I can do this, and now I'm sharing my screen. And let's just type in Slice of Life trailer. Yeah, just so you get the idea, what is the project about? Let's say teaser. First we did a trailer, and then we did a teaser afterwards. Usually it's different. It's first the teaser, then the trailer. We did it a little bit differently, but okay, it's just 30 seconds long, and all the best shots are in it. So, okay, this is how it looks. Don't mind all the awards that take up all the space on the screen. But basically, all these shots that you see, the whole city, everything was created with miniatures, with very small models, and it was filmed in a garage. And even all the sets that characters are in are also in a garage. So basically, it was 99% of the film was filmed at my home. And we built everything. We built the whole sets and miniatures and everything. So today I'm gonna show you how we actually did it a little bit, how we used to do these things, and how it changed very recently, because I got a new tool called a laser cutter. And if you actually look in the corner here, it says FLUX on the screen, because the whole point of this streaming is because a company called FLUX, which sent us the laser cutter, they actually invited, I think, 6 or 7 makers from around the world who also own the laser cutter, and each one is streaming one day of this week, and today is my day. So if you want, you can tomorrow. There's another stream, and you can check out the streams that were before today. And those are all of them are very interesting makers, and each of them is using the tool in a different way. So I'm the only one who makes miniatures with it, and somebody else makes I don't know, knives and all kinds of stuff. So it's very interesting. But yeah, let's dive into the behind the scenes of this short movie called Slice of Life. So these are the average shots that you saw right now. And now I'm going to open my archives from the film, making of. And actually before that, I will show you the workshop. Somebody says it's not a garage, it's a workshop in the chat. Okay, it's maybe a bit more polite to call it a workshop. Yeah, so this is the workshop. It's constantly very messy, so I picked the right angles so it wouldn't look horrible, but this is like the one part of the workshop, and you can see this black thing in the beginning. In the foreground is a FLUX laser cutter, and these are the miniatures from the short film. They are 3 feet tall for the people from USA, and for our metric people about 1 meter tall. And on this side I have my woodworking table and a little woodworking area, because I'm passionate about woodworking. Some hand tools, which are very, very helpful even in miniature building, but in everything else in life. I think everybody should have a couple of hand planes. That's always very good. So this is another angle. And this is the FLUX machine. I got the Beambox Pro. They have 3 sizes. This is the biggest one. And one important thing about the laser cutters is they cut with a laser, obviously, right? And laser burns stuff, right? So when you cut wood, you get fumes like you're cutting wood, like you're burning wood, basically, right? And it should be vented out. So you have to attach it to some, you have to vent the fumes outside of your room. And thankfully I put it like right next to the window, and I cut a hole in the window, and it's going out into my yard. So I'm not suffocating in the room every time I'm cutting something. This is another part of the workshop where I have my clamps, tapes, all kinds of glues, hammers, paints, spray cans, stuff like that. Obligatory Blade Runner poster, because you probably noticed our short film is very much inspired by Blade Runner, which is one of the best films ever. 2 3D printers and a Japanese box, which I'm passionate about, Japanese boxes. And this is for example, an angle that I really picked so I wouldn't show a lot of junk around it, but then I figured, like, you know what, I'll be honest, this is how it actually looks like right now. It's just filled with all kinds of stuff, because I'm in a process of renovating another part of the workshop. It's this part, and it's the room right next to this one, and right now we are actually renovating it and closing all the holes in the walls and stuff like that, because this is gonna become a proper wood shop, basically, for me. This is gonna be the dusty area, and inside it's gonna be like more precise area with finer tools. So here I have a big table saw and a couple of other saw I'll get when I have time and room for them. But because I'm renovating this, then in this area is now chaos, because everything is here. Hopefully one day everything will be clean. So this was the area where we actually filmed the whole film, where we actually built everything. So it's not very big, it's just 2 rooms, but it just proves that you can do stuff in a limited wait a second, I gotta play some music. Yeah, so yeah, you can be limited with budget and space, but you can still make decent stuff. All right, so let's see a little bit about miniatures and see how they evolved during the years. So just a second, I gotta find the right folder. Making of. Just a second. All right, so this is how we began. Many years ago when we started making this film. Just a second, we have a question. We'll use the other area and wood tools for producing real-life furniture and similar stuff for the next movie. No, I hope not. I'm not gonna make furniture by myself. One important thing that we learned during making of this film is that if you do everything by yourself, it takes years. It took us 4 years to do this short film, Slice of Life, and yeah, it's hard to do everything yourself. I mean, it's nice in a way because you're controlling every aspect, and it's very satisfactory when you can say, like, you know, when you look at a shot and you say, I built this and this and this, and I actually made a costume this guy's wearing and the gun he's holding in his hand. It's cool, but it's a really hard way to make a movie, and you know, try it if you want to. But for upcoming projects, we would definitely like to, you know, hire more people and do it like, you know, spread the workload, and then that way you can do it more faster. Okay, so basically, this is how we became we began work on the film. It was just like, I basically built from anything I had lying in my shop and from other junk that people would bring me. Why is the music stopping all the time? Yeah, I forgot to put the repeat option. Yeah. This is like, for example, just packaging from IKEA, and I started gluing it on the you know, just on the building, and all kinds of random toys. You know, here are some, you know, benches from a toy set for kids, and you know, tables, whatever we could find. And basically it looks like a, you know, bunch of junk. That's true. But the thing is that when you put miniature lights on it, like these ones, it starts feeling more cool, definitely, right? And then the paint comes on, and it transforms the building completely. And once you weather it a little bit and put some paint on it, you know, it starts looking pretty decent. So in that way we did, you know, I started building many buildings. Like, for example, on this one I just used a keyboard, computer keyboard, all kinds of parts that we could you know, coolers from the PCs, you know, that it was just completely random junk. But again, once spray painted and with miniature lights turned on, you know, it just starts being very magical. The thing is that there was one thing that I always wanted to have on a building, and I just couldn't with this process, and this is windows, you know, on the sides. I had to find a way how to cut holes, and I couldn't. So, like, one thing I did, I just put a huge billboard on one side of the building, and the other sides were just, you know, left in the dark. So at some point during the making of the movie, we actually managed to afford a pretty basic CNC machine, you know, nothing special. And then we started making, I started making, like, let's say, type 2 buildings. So this is a type 2 building. The thing is, with these buildings, I managed to get some holes in the windows, right? And that's what machines can help you do, right? Cut a million precise holes. And when you do that, you can put just a single light source inside. Just put a single, you know, light that you use in kitchens, basically under the cupboards, and you get a 1,000 little illuminated windows, which was cool. The thing is, it's a little bit hard to work with a CNC machine in this area. Just a second, I'm getting messages, but okay, ignore the messages, sorry. The thing is, CNC machine cuts with a router, right? And it just, for example, I used plastic, it tends to melt plastic, and you get all these tiny hairs on the edges. Even if you use wood, I used MDF, every time it's a little bit hairy, but because it's a mechanical process of removing the material, right? It was always very dirty. You can see here, for example, it's, you know, jagged edges, and there was a lot of sanding involved, and it was just a nightmare to clean. You see, it's a really big surface, you know, that you have to clean. and even though the buildings did look good, but it was just it worked, but it was very hard to work in that way. But again, when you paint it, let's just see. Of course, a lot of interesting greeblies on the roof, some 3D printed elements and stuff like that. And here is the painted building. And basically, like when you light it properly, it looks like this, something like this, right? In smoke and everything. It looks cool. The thing is, like, again, I wasn't satisfied really, because first of all, it's very complicated to work like this, because you have to have a lot of sanding. And the other thing is, like, we just had like a single light source inside, and everything was the same color. On real buildings, you know, people have different colors on their windows and stuff. Every apartment has a different temperature of light, obviously, and you know, there's a lot of subtle stuff you can do that you can improve your way of making miniatures look more real. So I mean, this worked completely fine. This is the best thing we could do at this point, and we made the whole movie like this. So basically, you know, when you look at this shot, it looks cool, even though if you look closely, I mean, all the windows are the same, and that doesn't really make sense, but it was fine. But then I reached out to the company called FLUX, yeah, and I said, look, I'm making these miniatures, and we did a film, and we're gonna do more films in the future, and miniatures are our thing, right? And we wanna just continue making miniatures because it's magical. And they kindly sent us the Beambox Pro, and then I started playing around with it, and that was actually the machine that now enabled me to do all kinds of more precise stuff that I couldn't do before. So one of the things I started doing as a test, let me just find it, with the laser cutter, it's this. So I had an idea how to do a facade of the building, just a facade for now. I'm gonna build more buildings eventually, right? But if I want to do a facade in a more realistic way, I started experimenting with these thin sheets of MDF. It's just 3mm thick, or that's like 1/16 of an inch, I think. And I drew a lot of stuff in Illustrator, a lot of windows, and a laser cutter cuts it out pretty fast. You know, in a matter of minutes, you have, you know, the whole sheet of wood precisely cut, right? So I figured, like, if I put a couple of sheets one on top of the other, I can just vary the design a little bit in the end and get vary the design a little bit on each one, and then get all kinds of different you know, things with layers. I can get depth that way. I also cut the acrylic as well, and once you put all these together, you get something like this, right? So this is the facade, like a prototype. It's still not finished, obviously. I didn't get really much, I didn't have time to finish it properly. But basically, if you look closely, this is a really big upgrade compared to the old buildings that we did. And if you look closely, you see layers, right? So this first one, it has a huge opening like this, and it has like a maybe one how do I say, like a fence, right? The concrete fence, right? The other layer has windows cut out, and then even the acrylic one layer, the third layer in the back, I also cut out some, you know, tiny lines around the windows, and it's very nice. And the thing is, it's very precise. You can work very precisely. So, you know, if I cut one line here, I know it will precisely fit inside the door that I cut out earlier, right? So it's a really nice way to work. Obviously, this needs to be weathered properly. It needs some air conditioning units on top, and, you know, stuff like that. So maybe even some clothes, tiny miniature clothes that people dry, you know, in front of their balconies. But this was just a very, very rough experiment, and it was very cool. And I'm very happy with it. And another thing is that with laser cutter you can cut all the way through the material, but you can also engrave. It's just like, you know, surface cutting, you know, it doesn't go all the way through. So all these things, for example, here that you see, this is just engraved, right? But it gives the illusion of blinds that people have, you know, on their windows, for example. Okay, we have a couple of questions. Would you say that both CNC and laser process influenced your aesthetics for this production and influenced the way you design architecture for? Well, thankfully, the architecture is pretty straight. You know, it has straight lines. So it's very good because I mean, obviously you can cut curves, but CNC machine and laser cutter are not 3D. They don't work really in three dimensions. That's more like 3D printing thing, right? You can 3D print an object, but with this you can basically just cut sheets of metal. So you gotta stack them up, and thankfully for buildings that's good. And I like brutalist concrete buildings, so yeah, and because they fit very nicely in the science fiction universe, science fiction aesthetics. So yeah, it kind of works very good for me. Even though I did make a dojo, Japanese dojo, which is pretty much a different architecture. I'm gonna show that in a little bit. So yeah, you can basically do whatever you want. Did including these machines in your process actually elevated already present visual aesthetics that you preferred? Well, yeah, I basically answered it. Yeah, so this was actually the prototype I did before the bigger one, and you can see some air conditioning units that were 3D printed. And another interesting thing is that if I had one thin sheet of acrylic in the back, I just painted it. You can see here, this one is painted with just diluted acrylic paint. I just painted the background, the back side of one room, right? And this one is a little bit green. So that way you can very, very easily alter the tone of lighting, the temperature of lighting in each apartment. You know, just take a brush and, you know, paint it from the back, and it's incredibly fast, and you still just need one light source inside the building, and that's it. It works perfectly. Another thing is I cut a thin sheet of cardboard as the fourth layer in the background, and you can see that way I can control which apartments are illuminated and which aren't. So for example, this one is completely closed, it's black. This is, you know, partially closed, because not every apartment is turned on at the same time. What is the scale? Oh, the question about scales is it's a hard question, because you can calculate it basically, of course, but it's because, you know, I don't know, let's say 3 meters is an average height of one apartment, and I have 3 centimeters, so that would be 1 to, is it 3, oh my god, is it 1 to 100, I guess, right? 1 to 100 scale, something like that. You can obviously calculate it very easily. This was a very easy calculation. You just have to, you know, remove a zero or something like that, which is hard for me. I don't like math that much, but I don't really think in scales. I just think like what looks good on camera. That's the way I think. So, you know, I don't bother with scales. Yeah, I have a shot here. This is the shot of the profile of the whole building. So first layer of MDF, second layer of MDF, acrylic, and just thin cardboard, and with 4 layers I got this facade thing going on. Yeah, which is cool. So this is how we can, you know, make stuff in the future, and it's gonna look even better than it did so far. Okay, so I mentioned the dojo that I made. Let me show you a little bit about that. So again, I gotta find a folder where it is. Just a second. Dojo. Okay, so if you follow our channel, I have a couple of videos already out. It was made for a documentary that we are working on, and we decided to make an opening, a couple shots in the documentary, because it's the documentary is about judo fighting, right? And we decided to make a very epic cinematic opening of the documentary with miniatures, right? And it's set in Japan, and we have a really long shot of the camera moving towards a miniature dojo, right? So I had to build a dojo, and it looked like this. This is the dojo, and this is like the first proper project where I used the laser cutter. And I couldn't I mean, that's something I could never do before. Ticket Production says, "What's up, Luca? Hey, what's up? I'm talking." Another question: are there any more projects involving miniatures you guys have upcoming after the documentary? Of course. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. The thing is, movie making is probably one of the slowest art forms there is, right? And it involves, if it involves only you, then it's incredibly slow. If it involves other people, then it involves money, you know, and stuff like that. So we have a couple of projects actually lined up. Some longer ones, feature ones, some short ones, and we're just, you know, constantly juggling between those and see like what could be actually the next thing we do. So at this point, I can't say anything for sure, but we are definitely working on some new stuff, and you know, it's gonna be cool, and we are very, very much looking forward to it. And every time we start thinking about another project, it's just, oh, where can we put miniatures? So it's gonna be a lot of miniatures because they're just incredibly fun, and we like the aesthetics. Especially like, and we realized that when we made the short film Slice of Life, but when we made this dojo, we just basically shot it like a week ago or something. 10 days ago we shot the finished shot, and I'm gonna show you the end result as well here. I'm still making a video about that for YouTube. And we were just like, we looked at the shot and it was just like, oh my god, it's just a certain aesthetic that is just amazing. So yeah. Anyway, again, a question: do you believe this technology opens a lot of new doors for people working with CO2 laser or any other lasers like diode or fiber lasers? I'm not sure I understand the question. Does this technology opens a lot of new doors for people working with CO2 lasers or any other lasers like diode or fiber lasers? I mean, this is a CO2 laser, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really a tech guy. I just get a machine and I start to use it. I'm not thinking like how it works. So I have no idea if I understand like what do you actually mean by the question. Yeah, so sorry. You can, yeah, so I don't know. If you ask another question, maybe I'll get it later. So I'll show you in a really fast how I built the dojo, right? So I had to design it first. Yeah, let's start at the top. I had to design it in Illustrator because everything you wanna cut in with a laser cutter, you gotta design first in vectors, right? It needs vector files. So I built a 3D model basically. First in a 3D modeling software, 3D Max, and because building something complicated like this, I can't wrap my head around it that easily and just, you know, design it in Illustrator in 2D. Because you have to lay all the parts flat on the table, and you have to imagine how are they gonna fit together in 3D space, which is maybe somebody can do it, I can't. So I basically built it first in 3D. And I knew, okay, I need this many supports for the roof, I need this many stuff for this, and blah blah blah. And I knew all the sizes. And then I found the way how you can extract from the 3D piece in the 3D software. You can extract just the outline. And basically here on the right side, I hope this is just a recording that I'm playing. I hope I will show you. You see on the right side, you can see all these laid parts on the table, like, you know. And then I imported them in the Illustrator, and that is what this video is about. So these are the same parts, and then I could, you know, just maybe make them more ornamentation on them, you know, make them look more Japanese, because that's easier to do in Illustrator. I just gotta draw curves and shapes. It was easier than to do it in 3D Max. So I just, you know, opened the walls, made some interesting shapes, made some doors, stuff like that. And this was my inspiration. This is some kit you can buy. It was more fun for me to just build it from scratch. And I knew, like, for example here, that I don't want to cut these lines that I just made. Let's just see. So for example, these lines, this is a part of the door, right? And I knew I want to cut out the door completely, but I want to only engrave these lines you know, these lines on the top. So I just knew I prepared it in a separate layer, and then I can just say to the laser cutter, you know, you cut out the door, but before that you just engrave it, right? So it has ornaments, and if you look closely on the image, here they are, right? These are the doors on the finished model, and this is engraved. It just gives it some detail, and then it cuts it out. So you can always work with these depths, you know, and you can add more detail. For example, the same thing with the floor, just lines cut, you know, throughout the, you know, one by one, it cut it on the floor, and it just looks like it was made of wood. And then it was time to build it, right? So I just, again, laser cutter was doing a lot of the cutting for me very precisely, because you can do these things with your hands. And if you are interested in seeing how this actually came together, there's a video about it on the channel, how I built the whole dojo, and how I, you know, glued everything, built it. It took me, you know, a few days, like maybe, I don't know, quite a few days, like about, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe, on and off, because we are always working on different things at the same time. This was just one project, so unfortunately I can't do miniature stuff every day. I would like to, but you know, it's not easy. And of course, painting is of course one of the most fun parts of the building, because it transforms the whole miniature right in front of you, adding some color, adding some other stuff, you know. And for example, one of the, so this is again making it aged, you know, but one of the most fun parts is putting miniature leaves, right? You just dab some glue all over the roof. That's all explained in the videos, but I just gotta show you this because it's fun. And this is little miniature moss, right? And you just put it across the roof, and the same thing with leaves, right? And it completely changes in an instant. It's very very satisfying, right? So after I built the dojo, I actually built the diorama around it, because we knew the shot, we wanted the shot to be like a widescreen shot. Dojo is in the middle, and you know, on the left and right are some trees and stuff like that. Okay, I'm just gonna stop for a second to see. There's a couple of questions already. My wife doesn't like sci-fi, but she loves slice of life. Say hi to your wife. That's very nice to hear. You weren't kidding about this taking a lot of time. Yeah, I wasn't. Still working on my Blade Runner inspired city for my short film, and it's been a little over 5 months. Yeah, miniatures take a lot of time. I mean, 3D takes also a lot of time, but that's how it is, you know. How do you set the laser from cutting to engraving? Is it a power setting, or do you have to determine a depth measurement in vector? No, it's only the setting of power and speed. Basically, you have only 2 settings. That's the best thing about laser cutter. It's extremely easy to work with, intuitive, right? Because you have you can only set speed and strength, right? So if you wanna cut something all the way through, you set the speed high, and you set the strength high and speed a bit low, right? Because it goes slower and cuts all the way through. And if you want to engrave, you just, you know, make him go a little bit faster, maybe lower the power a little bit, and it just engraves. So it's just 2 settings. And one cool thing is that you can make a test. I'm not sure I have. Let me see. Maybe I have a image of this. Yeah. Okay. So this is a test piece, right? That's built into the program, because you get the program with the laser cutter for free. The program that you use how to work with it, right? And I use Illustrator only because it's easier for me. I'm more used to it to draw all the shapes in Illustrator. But then I import these vector files into the program called Beam Studio, and it talks to the machine, and it says to the machine how fast it goes and what's the strength, right? You can also use this Beam Studio software to actually draw stuff from scratch. So even if you don't have any other programs, you can just use it, you know, to draw your artwork from scratch and cut it out. You don't need anything else. And this is the test thing, right? So it just, you can see on the top it's power, 15, 20, 25, blah, 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 and on the left is speed. So you can see, you just put a piece of material, you run this pre-programmed test thingy, right? And immediately you know what you need to set it, you know, to cut all the way through or to engrave and everything. So it's very practical and very, very, very easy. Recommendations for airbrush. I have Iwata airbrush. It's probably one of the best companies in the world. It's not it's Japanese, I think. It's not the most cheapest one. It's about $200-300 maybe for a proper airbrush, and yeah. But I also had a crappy one from China for like $15, and it worked fine. So if you're just starting, just buy the crappiest one on eBay and it's gonna work fine. So, and if you're really serious about it, then buy a proper one. All right, let's go back to the dojo diorama. So really quickly, I just built a diorama from styrofoam. It looked something like this. Let me just actually open the video. So dojo diorama, and I gotta mute it. No, mute. Come on. Okay. So this is the one on the YouTube. You can also check it out on YouTube. Yeah, the whole video. But basically, this is how the diorama looked. I just made a base and put all kinds of styrofoam terrain around it. Just made the stairs and painted everything to look like stones, like grass, like rocks, you know. And made a miniature bridge as well with the laser cutter. And I mean, this I'm always amazed. Look at this top of this here, the artwork that I drew in Illustrator, right? And it's just like, I don't know, 2 or 3 millimeters high. This little piece, you can't, and everybody, and each one is the same. It just brings smile to my face every time I think of it. I just love miniatures, man. Some of these things are 3D printed, obviously, and trees were the most boring part. I mean, the trees are... I don't like organic stuff, you know? I like straight, sharp things, and that's why I like science fiction buildings. Even the dojo was fine, because it's an architecture. I like architecture. Trees were a nightmare. But I did manage to make a couple of trees, and basically, in the end, I hope I have a wide shot of the whole diorama. I don't, but I do have a couple of final pictures, and this is how it looks. So yeah, it looks very nice. This stream is lit, turn up the jazz. Yeah, glad somebody recognized my copyright, royalty-free jazz, copyright-free jazz that I had to download for the stream. Yeah, so the YouTube wouldn't shut down my channel. Did you find learning editing the hardest part of movie making? Learning editing, if you think about only editing in Premiere Pro, I use Premiere Pro, you can obviously use DaVinci, that's free basically, and a couple other programs. Oh, let me just take a sip of the drink. Oh, so if you think about just plain editing the shots together, that's probably one of the easiest things you can do, you can learn. You just watch a tutorial and it's 10 minutes long probably, because they only need to teach you how to cut and you know, move things on the timeline. It's just the most easy thing to do. Anybody can edit, right? It's the easiest thing you can do. So if you're into editing, just go for it. What I don't like to edit. I need to edit some stuff, basically YouTube videos and stuff like that. I edit it myself, and it's a little bit boring for me. But what I like to do is compositing. So that's what I'm going to show you actually in a bit. So when we film this shot, for example, I need to stack all the layers together. I gotta make it look nice, and that's called compositing. So I do that in After Effects. You can use Nuke or again a couple other softwares. And it's that's hard. Yeah, it can take, you know, a year, 2, 3 maybe, I don't know, because that's something that's very, very big, and you can learn all kinds of stuff about it. You know, I also don't know everything. I just, you know, so it takes time. But there are also a lot of very good tutorials on the internet that you can learn from. I personally learned a lot from a guy called Andrew Kramer. From the videocopilot.net website. So if you're just starting and you want to learn how to use After Effects, just go there, Video Copilot. Okay, will there be a full featured film version of Slice of Life? I can't say anything about that at this point. Okay, let's go back to the miniature dojo thing. So we have a dojo right now. We also had a guy, just to make it completely old school. We also had a friend who is a painter, and he painted the backdrop, because what's gonna be behind it? We wanted to have Mount Fuji, of course, and the sky and everything, right? So dojo backdrop. Let me just see. So we invited a friend, and he just came, and I prepared like a big white sheet of paper, and he just painted it on it with acrylic paints. So really quickly just browse through that, right? He's a painter in real life, that's what he does. So it took him, I don't know, like 5-6 hours to paint the whole backdrop. And just painted it in layers and layers and layers. And once we started checking how it looks in camera and just putting the miniature every 1 hour in front of it, it just looked so it just, again, it brings smile to your face when you see it in real life. It's just there's something to it. So it was very cool. He also painted some miniature, again, painted dojos in the background, and just to give it some depth. I'm not sure. I hope it's seen in the shot. We tried to arrange everything so that it would be seen through the trees and everything. But yeah, and in the ending, that's something like that. That was the painting. It was very nice, very nice. And the other day, Dino and me, we shot the whole dojo, and it was nice to use motion control again, because we haven't used it from the moment we shot Slice of Life. Actually, it was in the cases, and we opened it again. I had to remember how did we use motion control. That this is the motion control. Sorry for the blurry picture. Yeah, but we have a slider, and the camera goes on the slider. Makes a move, and you gotta repeat the movement, because we just film it in passes. It's called in passes, and you change the lighting for each pass, and later you stack them together. So this is me trying to remember my depressed face. How does it even work? I didn't touch it for 3 years, and I gotta use some keyframes and stuff like that. So yeah, we were a bit confused at the beginning. But when we started filming, it started looking very nice, So for one pass, for example, you just shine a light on the miniature. For another pass, you shine a light on the background, only on the painting. So yeah, that way you mix, stuff in the post-production. And the best moment always is when you pump some smoke inside the room and just shoot it from behind, and it's just like, oh, it's so cool. It's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah. So look at this. It's so magical. It's cool. And let me show you now. So let's just make a quick, quick shift to the final image, and this is the final image. This is the final shot. How it looks. Slow camera move, toward the front, and I think it's fine. I think it's cool. I'm definitely gonna make a whole video about it for our YouTube channel, and I'll make it when I have time, in a week or 2 or 3, maybe, I don't know. But this is the final shot, and I'm very happy about it. So one thing that we also realized is when we were filming, let me just open one thing for a second. When we were filming the shot, we noticed, of course, there's some opening here. You can see the guy, right? And in the next shot in the sequence, a guy is sitting inside the dojo, right? The actor. And we obviously needed a man here. And a man who is like 2 centimeters high, or maybe even less. It was, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, so I don't know, centimeter and a half. This tiny guy, and so I said, okay, let's just. This is the guy we filmed in a studio, right? And I just keyed him out. I don't know what's the green around, but okay. and I made a high contrast, you know, version of him, just like outline, right? And I brought it up in the Beam Studio, right? And the thing is, like, I just dropped it in. I separated. I figured like I'm gonna use 3mm NDF again, so I wanna cut out the silhouette, and I wanna cut out the legs separately because I'm gonna put them in front of his silhouette. So at least I get a little bit of depth, because legs would be more forward, obviously, right? And there's an option here. You can just say trace outline. So I didn't even do it like in vectors. It was just, you know, I just exported a PNG file with transparency, and I just cut it out, right? I just traced it in this program, and I told the BMO to cut him out. And I think I have a, yep, this is the video of him cutting him out. I just used a small offcut of, you know, from something, and it was just you know, it's just a small piece, but it worked fine. I cut out a couple of them, and basically the thing you see in the final shot is just like this is a tiny cutout man who's in the shot. And the thing is, like, it looks realistic because the shape of it's really shaped like a human, right? Because I traced the actor himself, and these tiny ears are, I don't know, like under a millimeter, right? But they look like they are real. I have a shot here somewhere where I'm setting this up during filming, and it's very funny. So this is the interior, and also all the furniture inside I actually cut out on a laser cutter. A couple of things were 3D printed, like these buckets, because it's circular, so you can't do it there, you know. But for example, this Japanese furniture, and I gotta say I'm a Japanese furniture aficionado, and I study it, and I would like to I started even collecting a couple of Japanese pieces. You can probably see them. You can't see it, but it's here in this cupboard. I have a couple of tansu boxes. It's called tansu. Actually, let's Google it. Let's learn something about Japanese carpentry. Tansu box. Just so you can see how I actually replicated it. I knew, so in a dojo you gotta have Japanese furniture, right? So it's things like these. These boxes have so much character. They are so lovely, and they have these smaller ones that are that were used for carrying calligraphy things, you know, like brushes and inks and stuff like that, and the bigger ones for storing kimonos, storing storage for, you know, clothes and stuff like that. Some of them were actually built as, let's say, kaidan dansu. Some of them were built as stairs. So it's a cupboard that you can store things into, but it's also stairs, and they carry you to the second floor. So all of these things I wanted to put inside, right? So it's not seen in this shot, but it is in next shot. And basically I just cut them out again on a CNC machine. I probably have a video somewhere here, but of cutting them out. But I can't find it right now. But basically, you know, again, just two options: engraving and cutting out. So I basically cut out the whole shape of the like this, you know, cut out all this away, and only engraved the front part, the tiny handles and drawers and stuff like that. So yeah, and this is the miniature guy that I'm putting in place. I just quickly painted him. It's nothing special because I knew it's not going to be seen that well. And yeah, it just does its thing, you know. When you light it properly, it looks like a man. The real test for this new way of miniature making for me was the second shot. So this is the first shot, right? We are outside. The second shot, we were supposed to go inside, and this is this shot. Let's just go full screen. So this is the shot. Ignore the mistake at the end, but this is the shot, right? And the thing is, we didn't know how well it's gonna work, but we said, you know, we're gonna try it anyway. We just the exterior shot we filmed with a wide-angle lens from the outside, and for this we put a 35mm lens, and we literally came all the way into the miniature dojo, right? I just built a separate piece of here it is, just one separate front wall. Again, laser cut everything. But all the furniture inside, everything stayed the same, right? And this is the real actor, not the miniature one. That's the only thing. And probably I have a picture when we are filming it. So this is, yeah. Let me just find a better angle. Yeah. So we just came. We also did a slow movement, you know, towards the room. So this is the beginning shot, and in the end, it comes all the way till the beginning of the room. And for a miniature, that's basically, I don't know, like 20 centimeters is the width, and in inches, that's what, like 8 inches or something, right? It's not very big, and all these miniature things inside the furniture, it's very, very tiny. For a miniature to hold, you know, a realism when it's full screen like this, I'm very happy about it and very. I was surprised that it actually worked so well, but it did. These planks that he's sitting on the floor is just like, it looks like a real wooden floor, and all these, you know, stuff around him. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless with this, because the thing is that if you do these things by hand, you will always make it a little bit wonky, right? And that's where you lose realism. You know, these openings on the top of the shot here, every square is identical. That's why it looks, you know, looks like it's a real thing, because in real life, a good carpenter would make it, you know, symmetrical and everything would be the same. So yeah, that's it. Those are two basically shots. We did. So this is I have After Effects open as well. I mean, this is, you can see how it looks when all the layers are stacked here, and I can just turn off him, and basically we shot everything in 4K, and when you stack 10 4K shots on top of each other, it starts to, you know, drag a little bit. It's hard on the computer. So it's hard. I'm compositing blindly. You know, I just do something, I have to render it out and see, oh, this is wrong, and then I fix it a little bit and render it again. And it, you know, one frame gets rendered for 15-20 seconds. So this basically is everything that the camera saw. Nothing digital is added here, only the guy, right? I must admit, when I put him inside, you can see I did darken a little bit this area beneath his bottom, just to make him sit on the floor properly, but that's the only thing, right? And yeah, we again put the painting behind it for real. It was all shot for real. And I don't know, these are the layers, how I stacked them up. So we just illuminated the background painting a little bit, some fog in front, some lights behind the trees, more lights behind the trees. Each of these layers is one pass with the camera. So we set up the light, we record one movement, get it back on the beginning, record another movement. So this is just probably this was a layer that we lit evenly just to raise the lightness of the shot completely. And that's, I think, okay, so, and that's it. And then I added the guy, and then the sun. And the sun, you can see it on the right. If I move the camera, the sun slowly comes into the shot as we move forward. The sun is basically just a light, just a small deado light. We use deado lights, and we just pointed it really at the camera, you know, straight at the camera, and it just looks like a sun. And you know, so yeah, a little bit of color correction, and basically this is the final shot. For some shots we actually needed, for example, this is a close-up of the guy, right? And as always, he was basically shot like the whole. Just a second. The whole sequence was shot in a studio on green screen. This is the original shot. I just had to key out the green, and we recorded a separate shot of the background, the miniature, right? And composited together, it looks like this. So basically the whole room is again recreated for every shot. there are some shots from the profile. I think it's gonna open right now. No, that's the same shot, maybe 8. This, yeah, so again, miniature in the background. And these trees, when you make them, you know, out of focus, this is all just like the bokeh that happens, right? It just blows up so nicely and so realistically because it is real. It is an object filmed in camera. That's why this background looks like it's real, because it is. So yeah, this is the example of the sequence we did with the actor and with this. And yeah, I'm really much looking forward to the other projects that we hopefully get to do, because there's gonna be a lot more of this stuff, and it's just magical to, you know, be in a room, smoked up room, and you have these tiny things, and you use tweezers to set up the scene, you know, just like you're like a set designer, but you're not moving real tables around, you're just using tweezers and you're moving things until it looks good on camera. So yeah, it's cool. If anybody has any questions, nobody asked anything for quite a long time, so that means 2 things. Either we lost connection or something and I've been talking for half an hour to myself, or it was really interesting and nobody had, or it wasn't interesting. Yeah, so there's 3 things, 3 possible things. If you have any questions, shoot, and I'll have a sip of my magic drink. But yeah, it's been 56 minutes already, yeah. Hi all, Eddie says hi all. Hello Eddie. Edie, maybe it's Edie. Edie, I think Edie. She just got here. Well, thanks for joining. It's over basically. No, it's not over. I have one other folder prepared. I wanted to just this is funny because like I have all these miniature things and that's really cool to show. Is the mug empty? No, it's not empty. I'm gonna admit it. By now I don't care anymore. I'm drinking beer. I just thought like I'm gonna put it in a mug, so it's gonna look more professional. Nobody's gonna know that I'm drinking beer, even though my secret is out now. The thing is, yeah, I'm using it for all this cool stuff. And then the thing with the laser cutter, pretty much like many other machines probably, like you buy it or you get it. I got it. I didn't buy it, but you get it to perform a certain task. I was like, I'm gonna make miniatures with it. But then when you have it, you think like the ideas pop into your head, right? So every now and then I say like, well, I need to do this and this. I can do it on a laser cutter. So here is just a couple of really, stupid projects that I did not connected to the miniatures, but that's something I can wrap up the presentation with. And for example, one of the first projects was, I showed you where it is in my studio, right? And it's venting outside the window. So basically this ventilation thing, I brought the window to a person window maker, glass maker, I don't know what's the correct term for a person who deals with glass. But I brought the window. I said I want a hole cut in the window. He cut the hole for me, right? And I brought it home, and I needed to make some kind of a blast gate, because I want it to be open only when it's when I'm working, right? I want it to exhaust out, but when I'm not working, I want it shut. So if you look closely, I cut I don't know, 7 layers of MDF. I glued them together, but on one layer I left this space, and the space is going all the way here, here, and here, right? And inside I put a piece of transparent acrylic. So when I wanna Glass Master, thank you, Glass Master. It's a cool title, right? What do you do in life? I'm a Glass Master. So basically, when I want it to vent out, I just slide it open. That's it, in, out, and it keeps spiders from coming in, and I don't know, yeah. So that was one of the projects I did on the laser cutter. Another things are this was a test. This is the test of the engraving. So I just cut out Dr. Evil saying freaking laser beams. because I have it on my laser constantly and I like it. But for example, if somebody's interested in engraving, you know, that's it. You just and this was very easy to do because you just take an image and drop it into the Beam Studio software, and basically the laser cutter knows that whatever in the image is dark, it's gonna engrave more, and whatever is brighter, it's gonna engrave less, and whatever is white, it's not gonna engrave at all, and you get this image. So it's very, very easy. You don't need to do anything. You just import the image. So this was one of the projects, and one of the recent wins for me that I'm proud of, and this is probably the proudest project I ever did on the laser cutter, FLUX laser cutter, and I mentioned it on the podcast the other day, stream the other day. So if you were there, you probably know. But I collect vinyls, and I have a turntable, and I always wanted this felt mat on the turntable, right? And I wanted it to be yellow. I wanted a yellow felt mat. You put it on the turntable, so the records are, it's nicer for them to sit on it, right? And it looks like this, and this is it's just a piece of felt, nothing else. Piece of felt, and it's $14 and $24 to ship it to Croatia, right? So it's what, $40 for something like that, and it's just too much. So I went to the store, I bought a piece of felt for, I don't know, $3, and you know, I cut it out in like 1 minute. So I beat the system. I totally beat the system, and this is my proudest moment by far. Okay, so these are all my projects. Let's see if we have some questions. Yeah. When is your next short film coming out? Well, Edie, that's from Edie. She came in late, but I basically said that filmmaking is slow, it takes money, and we have some scripts and some ideas in our heads already, and we would definitely want to shoot something as fast as we can, but you know, it just takes time, so I can't be sure when it's gonna come out. But rest assured, every other day we get a comment on YouTube like, hey, are you still making movies? Yeah, I mean, it's not like we retired, but it's taking a lot of time. So we are making just very, very slowly. That's our style. We make stuff very slowly. Glazier. Okay, I have a question. Did you ever consider using animatronic elements on your miniatures, servos, motors, etc.? Definitely. So if we would do something, I mean, some things need servos, some things don't need servos. For example, a science fiction film can use servos all the time, you know, with, I don't know, rotating parts of the buildings or cars or vehicles, lights blinking on, blah 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 blah. So for example, if you want to have your doors open on a miniature car or something, I did it like this because I'm of course imagining gull-wing doors on a car. Nobody opens doors like this in the future, but yes, you can put servos for that in these kinds of models. My problem is I'm not really tech savvy guy, so I would need a help with this, and we have some friends here in Zagreb in Croatia, where we are from, and one of them is actually in the comments. He said hi. So yeah, if the opportunity arises, we are going to use servos, but somebody else will have to plug them in. Yeah. Children of a glass master can stand in front of TV and you can watch the TV through them. That's a joke. That was a joke. Is it any harder to make realistic looking miniatures when the scene isn't shrouded in darkness and mist? Well, good question. I have no idea. Of course, as Edie very much noticed, and she actually blew our cover completely, our film was completely dark and rainy and foggy because it made sense with the story, but also it was way easier to hide our crimes with the crappy buildings we were making, right? Yeah. So for this, for the, I have it open here somewhere. Sorry, but I have 1,000 tabs open by now. Yeah. So this, of course, we wanted to do a day shot, but then it slowly evolved into a sunset shot, because then we knew we could backlight it, pump some smoke again. I mean, smoke is okay. Smoke is, even if you're doing, you know, noon shot, it's always good to use smoke. even when you're filming real actors. It's always, smoke always makes some magical thing. But the thing is, like, yeah, we like to use low key because it looks cooler and it fits our aesthetic. We like these types of movies, but we never did try to do a daytime shot yet with the miniatures. It probably needs to be extremely precise, extremely super detailed, I guess. Yeah. I'm the felt master. Yes. Luca, are you going to raise dollars on Kickstarter for next movie? Kickstarter, I don't know. That's something we've been thinking about a lot. The thing with Kickstarter is that's a topic for another stream, probably, that's titled Kickstarter, because there's a lot to say about this, and a lot of people did contact us after the Kickstarter campaign to ask us, because hey, we are planning to do a campaign, how did it work for you guys? And there's a lot to say about it. Let's just say it's cool. You raise, bottom line is, you raise a lot of the awareness about your project, people hear about you, and you get a community. But financially it's not that good, because in the end, let's say 15 to 20% actually ends in the project you're working on. The rest you need to make perks, you know, with the rest of the money. There's all sorts of taxes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard to raise money actually, because you don't get the whole amount, because if you see somebody made $100,000, he didn't, he made 25. So yeah, we are still not sure about it, but it's definitely an option. How old were you when you started getting into movie making? End of elementary school, I guess. I came home, I have no idea why. I liked movies, like I think Jurassic Park was one of my favorite movies. I watched Spielberg all the time. Everybody likes Spielberg when they're a kid. And I wanted to make movies all of a sudden. And I said to my mother and my father, I want a video camera. At that point, it was a high 8 cameras. I didn't think about high 8 format for years. Let's just see if there's any pictures about it. Format, or it looks like yeah, this is the tape. It looks like a cassette tape or VHS tape, but just smaller. That's what I started with. And after a couple of years, mini DV came in, and then after that DSLRs, and now we have, you know, Blackmagic and all the other red Alexas and stuff like that. So yeah, 4 times technology changed throughout my filmmaking career, which goes to say I'm getting old. Next question. Is Kickstarter still an option for your next movie, perhaps? Yeah, that's basically the answer. Still thinking about it, not completely sure. But it could be good just to fund separate things. So for example, if you get if you get funding for the project, you make it not connected to Kickstarter, and then you say, hey, we want to make something else connected to the movie, you know, t-shirts, books, whatever, blah blah. Maybe you can fund only that part. Maybe that's something, you know, I don't know, we're still thinking about it. Your videos have been super inspiring, and your help on the RPF forums and Instagram has been so awesome. Slice of life for life. Yeah, slice of life for life. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, RPF is a really good forum. For those of you who don't know RPF, it's a community with, you know, hundreds of model makers and cosplayers, and it's probably the biggest forum for creative stuff like that. So definitely check it out. I started on Super 8 film, says Ticket Productions. Yeah, well, that's what, like 70s, 80s, huh? Or something. Yeah, that's cool. Expand the answer to someone who asked about the editing. The technical aspect is extremely boring and extremely easy to learn, as you said, but there is other part which is great to do in movie, which is connected with communication and communicating through editing. Dejan said this, and he's my friend in real life. He lives in the same city as me, and often he confuses me when we talk with his unnecessarily complicated sentences. So yeah, this was another time that this happened. How much time does post-production take relative to the time it takes to film? It depends what do you think about? For example, if you're talking about miniatures, preparation is extremely long. So let's say the dojo thing. This sequence is a minute and 10-15 seconds in the final documentary. I spent 2 months building, not every day obviously, but still 2 months to build everything that's needed for the shot, right? To get the shots. That's the preparation. Filming was 1 day, actor in the studio, 1 evening, miniatures. That's it. That's the whole filming. And then post-production, it took me in After Effects to composite everything, maybe, I don't know, let's say 5 days. You compose it quickly, you throw it quickly, on top of each other, blah blah blah. You just put the background, put the guy, blah blah, and it's quickly there. But then the fine tweaking, fine tuning everything, the color, the grain, everything has have the same grain, blah blah. That takes a lot of time. It slows down. But again, preparation is the biggest chunk. Is marketing included in a movie budget? Is marketing included in a movie budget? Well, as far as I understand, if you see, no, it's not. I mean, if you look at the movie that came out and you look at the budget, I don't know, some new Marvel movie comes out. You look at the budget and it says $250 million, right? That's the amount they spent to make a movie. Then people say that they spend the same amount of money to promote it. So again, millions. I'm talking millions, yeah. I wish it was thousands. Again, $250 million to promote it. So it's $500 million right now. So when they make $500 million, they're only at the zero, right? And if they go over $500 million, then they start earning. So yeah, I mean, I hope that answered the question. Yeah. Slice of Life was awesome. Thank you. Well, okay, it's been an hour and 15 minutes already. I don't have anything else to say. If you guys have any more questions, now is the time to shoot. And yeah, it was very good, talking here. I was a little bit nervous. You never know how it's gonna go when you're live, but this is, as I said, like the first stream for me. But it was cool. Yeah, basically, whenever I start talking about miniatures, I just can't stop. That's my go-to subject. Yeah. Oh, and I will definitely need to say thanks. Dan, I'm afraid to ask anything else anyway after that public shaming. Sorry, Dan. And thank you, Doug, for coming here. Another question. What is your... Oh, they keep coming. What's your thoughts on Blade Runner 2049? I'll come back to that. Dan is basically saying editing is very challenging and interesting when you focus on telling a story, not just the technical process, and telling a good story through images is complicated. Well, of course, it's like, technical aspect of editing is easy. That's 10 minutes, right? As I said, you learned in 10 minutes. But if you want to become a proper editor and make a masterpiece, if you want to edit Apocalypse Now, well, you gotta be Walter Murch, and that comes through years and years of studying. So yeah, I mean, that's the same as, but it's not the same with anything. So for example, take a guitar. It takes years and years to become a really awesome guitar player, like Santana, for example. Yeah, and okay, but can you learn a technical part in 10 minutes? No, you can't. It takes years again to master the guitar. So editing is definitely easier. Yeah. Thoughts on Blade Runner 2049? Oh, yes. Well, Dino and me, we talked a lot about this movie. We watched, of course, the premiere in the theater. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship. We just don't like I'm saying we because we both think the same thing. We just don't like the atmosphere. It doesn't feel the same like the old one. The old one is gritty and dirty, but also beautiful, right? It's the world. It's like a dystopian future, but when you see, these images of this city, and when you see Deckard coming out on the balcony and saxophone is playing, you know, the Blade Runner blues, not not Slice of Life blues, Blade Runner blues, and he's drinking whiskey and looking, you know, in the distance. You wanna stand like that on the balcony, right? And when you watch new Blade Runner movie, I don't wanna be there. I don't wanna be in that crappy apartment where Ryan Gosling lives. It's just boring, and everything is just snowing, and it's cold, and I don't like it. And there's no blues, there's no saxophones in it. Movie without saxophone is not a good movie. It's beautifully done. Villeneuve is interesting, he's smart, he makes smart movies. His aesthetic is very cold, very empty. His soundtracks are also, you know, barren of any melodies and stuff like that. Just like difficult, tough sounds and stuff. So it's a different movie essentially. The fact that it says Blade Runner on top of it, I don't care. I think it's a different kind of sci-fi. So for every Tom Cruise, there are thousands of actors in Hollywood trying to make it as well. Is this also the case for directors? Is there, for the next Spielberg, an army of small directors? I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, it's there is one thing that I think is very good when you are a director, for example, and not the actor. I mean, actor can probably do that, but for us it's maybe easier. You can at least have a chance to make your own film, like we did, right? We didn't get hired by anybody. Maybe there is an army of Spielbergs out there, and they're all pitching their I make commercials, I made a short film, blah blah, and they're pitching it to Hollywood, and Hollywood doesn't hire them because there's a lot of them, maybe, okay? But you can always, when you're a director, when you're not maybe a director, filmmaker, right? You write your own story, you gather a bunch of friends. The technology is extremely affordable these days. Everybody has a camera. You can get LED lightings now for nothing. It's cheap. Make a movie, and you can make a movie even if you don't have millions and millions of dollars. You can make it for less. We did the first Slice of Life for almost nothing, right? And it just took a long time. For the second film, we might invest our own money for the short film. For example, if you invest, I don't know, a couple $30,000-$40,000, that's a decent budget for a short film, right? You can pay the actors, you can make it in much less time. So at least you can get things going if you're a filmmaker. If you're an actor, you probably need somebody to hire you to do a. So it's probably harder. Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but yeah, I'm just like, that's what I'm thinking. I was wondering how your view is on the Back to the Future 2 2015 scenes. Did you think of making a slice of 2015 Hill Valley short film? Well, and let's say that we're basically done with the homage type of filming. I mean, homage is fine. Leaning this much as we did on the aesthetic, we don't want to do that again. It was cool. Slice of Life was basically our school. We learned a lot through this film. So that's why it made sense for us at that point to make it as visually similar to Blade Runner, to just learn the trade, right? But from now on, we're just gonna make our own things. But of course, we're gonna take so much stuff from other films that we like, that it's the way things are. Everybody copies everybody else. That's it. But not like this, we're not gonna make a Back to the Future fan movie. No. But the other answer is my view of the future scenes. I like them a lot. They're a bit comical, basically. It's one of the rare futures in the movies that are at this point. It came out what in 1990, right? Back to the Future 2, I think. Okay, I don't know, probably something like that. By that, Blade Runner was a decade before. A lot of other movies. The future was depressing during the 80s. Everybody was making, depressing futures, and then this movie comes out. It makes just like it's bright and it's cool. So yeah, it was a different take on the future. From this perspective, it's probably a little bit funny to look at it, but it fits the tone of that movie. Just all these gags with the jaws and stuff like that. It's cool. Cafe 80s. I mean, yeah, it's I love it. Who doesn't love it, right? Is Blade Runner the best use of miniatures in a movie, or are there any other good movies with miniatures that you enjoy? Ooh, good question. Blade Runner. Well, at that point, I mean, it was just amazing. Probably, yeah. It's definitely up there. I don't know now. I mean, it's sci-fi, so it's it's fake, basically, right? From then on, nowadays some of them use miniatures again, and many times miniatures are used as in a way that you don't want people to know that it's a miniature, right? So, for example, Christopher Nolan uses miniatures in his movies. So I don't know, like in Dark Knight, I think, when there's a chase throughout the tunnel and with the tumbler, the Batmobile, and it crashes into the garbage truck and blah blah. Those are just those are all miniatures. They look hyper real, right? It looks extremely realistic, and so that's, I guess, it also looks, that's a very, very good usage of miniatures. For example, we don't want to use miniatures in that way in our future films. We like this a little bit fake. Where is it? I can't find it again. A little bit. It's too realistic, right? It's stylized almost. That's what we like. So we're gonna use them like that. And I don't know. So movies of Wes Anderson come to mind. He uses, stuff like that, for example. So I like stylized stuff, definitely. Moon is one really, really good example. Duncan Jones movie where they used just the whole moon base and cars and everything is just, I can put myself on full screen. Yeah. They used all these things, and it was a very small budget for a science fiction movie. I think like 7,000 euros or 7 million euros for Moon, and it looks perfect. So that's a very, very good movie to watch if you like miniatures. Yeah. Is Slice of Life an expression of your thoughts and feelings about where we are going? Is Slice of Life an expression? I don't know. I'm too tired for these themes. It's just I think the future is not going to be as bleak as Blade Runner. It's probably going to be more like Back to the Future. Everything is like, it's normal technically and stuff like that. I think, it's not going to be as dark and rainy and acid rains all the time. Probably it's going to be a bit more normal than that. The problem is probably more in the people and social aspect of everything, but I don't know. I'm not smart enough to talk about that anyway. Both the Blade Runner universe and the Back to the Future universe share an AT view on the present future. Yeah, that's true, and it's different. Yeah, and which one was correct? Well, Back to the Future probably, right? It's just the cars don't fly, but the rest, it's like the streets look normal. It's daytime. We have day still, right? It's not night all the time. All masters first copied their own masters, who were their teachers. That's true. Can you share a movie trope that will ruin every watcher's movie experience from now on? Movie trope. Oh, that's Fabiano. You're asking such hard questions. I can't think anymore. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'll skip that one. Yes, Wes Anderson is terrific with miniatures like Grand Budapest Hotel. Wonderful. Yes, and of course his animations. Fantastic Mr. Fox and the Isle of Dogs. It's specific. Aesthetic. It's like, it's not as, how do I say it, like when you compare Nightmare Before Christmas or some other paranormal, movies like that are meant for kids. It's more likable in a way. Wes Anderson doesn't care. I mean, Isle of Dogs is not a likable movie. I barely watched it, basically. When I first watched it, it was boring. It was like a drama. But the animation, the framing and everything, oh my god, he's a genius in that regard. Yeah, and Great Budapest as well. I mean, it's visually incredible. Congratulations with Slice of Life. I'm a big fan and loved your work, passion you invested into the project. Have you considered to make a feature film for your next project? Yes, we have. It's one of the things we are dreaming about, and we are writing some stuff, some scripts and stuff. at this point, nothing to say yet. Do you still have the slice of life miniatures? If so, will you use them in other projects to establish your own standard world setting? Okay, yeah, good question. A lot of them, as I showed before, like they were made just from cardboard and crap, and they were very, very, very crappy. And I threw half of them away. And some of the better ones I still do keep. Some of them are in my garage. Some of them are stored in another garage where they don't take space. We are definitely not going to use them for any other projects because they are definitely by now our standards like way up, and we're going to make new stuff, much better stuff. So yeah, we can't use them at all. Slice of Life was and is awesome. Thank you very much. When someone explains a plan in a movie, it always fails. Yeah, okay, that's a good trope, yeah. When someone explains a plan, it always fails. Yeah, well, yeah. Movies are extremely, predictable, basically, yeah. I mean, not all of them, but yeah, they are. Hey, what is everyone's day job? Well, Dino, whom I mentioned a lot of times tonight, and me are, we have a company, and we make commercials, television commercials, and we met 8 years ago, and from then we just started working together, and we made a lot of over 200 or 300 commercials by now, and it just started getting to us a little bit, and then we slowed it down, and nowadays we just do a couple of them every now and then just to pay the bills, but we're not active in it anymore that much. We're just trying to focus completely on the creative part. So hopefully we're just wishing something is gonna happen, that we're gonna be able to go feature film or short film or whatever full time. The filmmaking is gonna be our day job, but for now we gotta do a commercial now and then. The diary is an excellent concept. Will you continue this on your next films? Well, yeah, definitely. We grew up with, I wish I could show you, but it's too dark right now. Yeah, I have to the left of me, I'm gonna show you anyway. This is my crappy light setup. I just have a light, but this is my cupboard, and I have a lot of books here, and right here behind you can see, but this shelf is filled with DVDs that I wanted to keep, right? All the best DVDs that I bought. So basically there's like Back to the Future in there, Jurassic Park obviously, right? Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and stuff like that, Blade Runner obviously. And why I particularly chose to keep those, because all these editions were, I bought deluxe editions with tons and tons of bonus features, and I watched them as a kid so much. And a lot of things I learned was through the making of videos, right? And that's why I really like putting out making of videos, because that's something we grew up on, and it helped us a lot. And maybe this will help to other younger people. Maybe they watch, our videos and they say, "Oh, miniatures are cool," which is cool, Not everything needs to be CGI. So it's good. That's good. So definitely, if we make something, in the future, we're gonna keep doing videos, because it's fun. I've watched and enjoyed the film many times, and it's a testament to your skill that I would never have guessed that most of it was filmed in a garage shed if you hadn't said so. Thank you. Yeah. It was a trick. We did a huge magic trick with that. Yeah. What was your appreciation on the visual style of Terry Gilliam's Brazil? Terry Gilliam in general is sorry, Dino just said, by the way, new commercial coming up. Rocco just called. Rocco is the guy who calls us and says, hey, we have a new commercial to do. So yeah, okay, well, yeah, I guess we're doing a commercial. Terry Gilliam is one of these directors who is also visually extremely cool, like Wes Anderson. There's a handful of these directors who just have the style so so original, and it's just them. So yeah, he's one of them. I like Brazil. I like a lot of his movies, and it's always he's especially the older ones, Time Bandits and stuff like that. I mean, that's just it's so fun to watch it from today's perspective and see all these effects that they did, like practical stuff on the set and, you know, optical composites and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it's very, very cool. Terry is cool. Not, some of his movies are crappy. Yeah, it's hard to watch sometimes, but in general, he's cool. I know people working on the new Jurassic World films, and you're better than them. Thank you. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I just maybe it's because I'm getting older every year. I'm 35. I'm not that old, but I certainly start to feel like, you know, old when I see Jurassic World 7 coming out, and it's just like 11 million dinosaurs in it, and I watch it like I feel like a grandpa, like you know, I don't understand that. So yeah, I don't understand it really, you know. I it's not fun for me to watch Jurassic World movies anymore and Marvel films. So yeah, Time Bandits was indeed great. Yeah, I would rather watch Time Bandits again than Jurassic World 6 or what was it. Many in the industry don't have half your ingenuity. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because nowadays it's. I mean, people are smart. I'm not the smartest guy, you know, in the world. People do all kinds of really cool stuff nowadays in the movies. But the thing is, like, when I'm a huge fan of the Cinefx magazine. I have it here on my cupboard as well. It's a magazine that started coming out in the 80s, and during the COVID pandemic last year, they basically shut down. They said we can't do it anymore because, you know, of the whole thing. And after 40 years of publishing, they shut it down, which was a tragedy in the filmmaking community. But anyway, I read these magazines from the 80s, and you can't believe what people did. It's so magical. It's so that these guys are full of ingenuity, right? The way they solve problems because you couldn't just say we'll do it in post on a computer. They had to figure out stuff in front, right? And you know, at that point, movie making was still really close to, you know, magic. These guys were magicians, because in a way, movie making did evolve from theater and magic tricks and stuff like that. Méliès, of course, was a magician, and then he started doing visual effects, and he's the grandfather of visual effects. So, and special effects. So and up to the 90s, when the CGI took over, it was basically the same principle behind everything, and it was just when you read about, you know, the problem solving they did on all kinds of movies from that period, it's just wonderful. Would you make a commercial for a short film that you really do not like? Commercial for a short film that you really do not like? I think I know what he's talking about. Yeah. I don't like commercials. We don't want to do commercials. We just have to. Yeah. At this point. 35, I thought you were in your 20s. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. If I shave my beard, I would probably look 13. Yeah. What is your opinion on deepfake technology, and especially the one they used for Luke Skywalker's moment in The Mandalorian? Deepfake. I don't know. One Croatian TV show did one episode about. They did a couple of episodes about, you know, fake news, blah blah blah, something like that, and one was dedicated to deepfake. And I actually was in that show for the Croatian television, talking with some other people about deepfake technology. Yeah, it's scary. In a way, it's scary. Because nowadays, you know, everybody in the room can make something that looks like another person, and before you couldn't do it, right? You need the Hollywood studio to do things like that. But nowadays, everybody can do it, and I mean, all these things about identity theft and blah blah. You know what was interesting when I was reading about it? It's not about somebody is trying to. For example, in politics, right? You can make a video, do a fake sex scandal, for example, with a politician, and he wasn't actually involved with it, right? That's one thing that comes to mind. But then I read that some politician from some country was caught in a sex scandal for real, and he was claiming it wasn't me, it was deepfake. So basically he reversed used it, which is very funny. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, there's all kinds of possibilities with this deepfake technology. For movies it's obviously good because it's easier than ever to make people come alive again, which, okay, I don't like really, you know. Maybe it was cool to see Luke Skywalker in one shot at the end of Mandalorian, but if he's gonna be a character in the 3rd season and he's gonna babysit Yoda, I don't want to watch a CGI guy, you know, for 10 hours basically. I want an actor, right? So yeah, bringing James Dean back from the dead or Marlon Brando and stuff, that's a gimmick, and it's a shitty gimmick. I don't like it. I feel like you're one of the last filmmakers to use miniatures. So many use CGI now, and bad CGI is unwatchable. Well, thankfully there are some filmmakers like Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and a bunch of others, you know, who still are trying to use it. But yeah, I just watched Corridor Digital, you know, these guys on YouTube, they have a really good YouTube channel, Corridor Digital, and Seth Rogen was their guest on the last episode, and he was just talking about his films and the visual effects in the films, and all of it is CGI. And he just said, I like miniatures as well, you know, with his voice, stone voice. I like, you know, CGI as well. I like miniatures as well. I always wanna do miniatures, and I pitch it to the studio, and they say it's just too expensive and too slow, CGI, and he can't say anything, right? He can't do anything, and it's his movie basically. He's a producer. All of his projects, he's like the main guy, and he can't even do anything. So basically, and he said, like, you have Tarantino and Nolan and a bunch of other guys, and they are strong enough to basically force the studio to do it in the way that they want to do it. So probably it's not even about the directors that much. On the technical side, what's your opinion using normal lenses for miniatures versus the Laowa probe that I see so much of on YouTube? I'm not familiar with the exact name. You probably think it's this long lens that you can go into narrow places. I never used it. We never used it for any filming. So I don't know how it, you know, what's the quality of the image. I have no idea. But in general, my opinion is that it's not important to have opinion on lenses in general. You don't need to have really expensive lenses. We filmed the whole Slice of Life movie on just crappy lenses, and it was I don't know, it looks good. So yeah, let me just a second, I got a message. Yeah, okay, I'll just answer like 1 or 2 more questions, and then I'll have to go. But yeah, thank you for all the questions you guys are sending me, because we will definitely have to do another stream and just chat with you guys, because it's really fun. Do you find beer to be a good creative assistant? Yes, sometimes I do. It's definitely relaxing. Yeah, stress relief. I use it as stress relief at the end of the day. Any opinion, experience on resin printing? Never tried it. I think it's just too complicated and it's just too much washing of the parts. And I just when I see the whole process you need to do, I just think it's not worth it at this point. I'm like, I'm not gonna bother. So I'm sticking with the normal printing. Yes, Dan, I like you as well. And yeah, okay. Well, I think 1 hour and 40 minutes is definitely, you know, a lot, and I'm gonna stop the stream right now. So thank you all for coming and for sticking with my me talking and for asking all the questions. And I want to thank FLUX again for sending us the stream, Fabiano as well, who is my contact guy, and he's cool, and they actually sent me a t-shirt, you know, and check this out. They also put the logo on the t-shirt, you know, which is cool. So yeah, thanks, and we'll definitely do this sometime again. And have a great rest of the day, evening, or whatever, wherever you are. Bye.